All right, here we are. We're live and back with story time. This is Kimberly.
Today we're going to talk with my friend Caitlin. She has found her inspiration and her passion in fire. In fire as a blacksmith.
I went to the first night of class and just ended up absolutely falling in love with it. But I totally fell in love with it because you get to take this nondescript piece of metal and make it into something permanent that is just the way you want it to be. And there's something very grounding and real and exciting about that for me.
How is it you stay close to inspiration? How is it that you can stay connected with that passion?
Well, I wouldn't say that I stay connected with it. I'd say that it ebbs and flows. When I've put myself in the position of like needing to be inspired by something, there's no inspiration there at all. It really takes, in order to sort of get into it, you have to prime the pump. You have to already be doing it. And then the ideas will just come to you. But I think that it helps to be curious. It helps to ask questions like, well, what would happen if? It helps to not have deadlines that encourage you to not take risks, right? Because if you have the option of taking risks, if you have the option of failing at something pretty dramatically, you can take all sorts of risks and end up with something really great. Showing up and doing the thing. Work that I really want to be doing is big work. I want to be working with bigger metal. But my shop is really not set up to accommodate the size metal that I want to be using. And so when someone approaches me with a commission, I have all these big metal ideas, and I physically don't have the space and I don't have the sized equipment necessary to be able to handle that sort of thing. And so right then I'm coming up against the hard edge of the fact, oh, that's not available to me, right? And that's an awkward space to navigate, because one of the things about creativity is that when you have limits, that's when creativity really shines. But getting into that headspace of I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this, is not where creativity shines. It's well, this isn't an option, but what options are there in this space?
I always say, what can I say yes to?
Yes, that's a great way to look at it. Because as soon as you have some yeses, you can sort of follow that path and see where it takes you. The curiosity is so crucial.
That's awesome.
So these are just a couple of things that I brought that, when we're talking about inspiration and creativity, these are all things that have just sort of happened. I really feel like my best work from an artistic perspective comes when I am least trying. I'm sitting there, I'm playing around with the metal, and then I get a couple of ideas and I just follow that path and it leads somewhere great. So this is one of my sculptures. I call this Explore. I just was playing around with a great big piece of metal here, squishing it in a power hammer, and it got all these crazy divots in it, and I really liked the way that looked. And then I'd just taken a couple of pieces and was sort of drawing them out really long, and we were playing around with this idea of these mechanical fasteners and threading them, designing them so that they could thread between the two parts to sort of put everything together. And I just decided that it would be really cool to see what it would look like to have this this piece of metal here wrapped by all of these other pieces. And it took a lot of math, a lot of working with the torch to sort of get everything to line up and fit right. But I have this piece that I was not planning to have that just, it really took me by surprise. Like, oh, I made art. This is
I
great.
did that.
Exactly.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. It's one of the pieces I'm most proud of. And I've been doing these pieces, things with legs on them. I'd worked with a friend to put some legs on these little candle stands, and I really loved the project because we figured out that by notching the metal at certain places, it made it much easier to be able to get everything to sit exactly level, because we could just bend it a little bit and get everything to sort of line up very easily. And so I did a demonstration of putting legs on things as like the title of my demonstration. So I made a bunch of these little, I called them moss boxes, because this one in particular has moss in it. But I just loved the quirkiness and the, what having legs on a thing does for its personality. And so I just sort of took that and started running with it. And I made these guys this past summer. This is my first experiment with 8 legs.
Wow.
And this is just a piece that I happened to grab on my way out the door. I was playing around with a new tool in the shop, and that is like definitely one of the great ways to wander down the path of creativity, just like playing around, right? And so I just happened to be working with the sort of the chisel function, and, squashed this little indent in it. And all of a sudden I'm realizing, oh, I have a flower here. And it looks nothing like what a real flower would look like, right? I'm not even coming close to replicating a flower, and yet unquestionably that's what this is, right? And that was really exciting for me to discover that I didn't have to make something look like a flower. It would just look like a flower all on its own if that's what it wanted to look like, right?
Right.